13 July 2024, the day has been etched in history lanes forever due to an unsuccessful assassination attempt on former US President Donald John Trump, who was addressing his supporters at a Pennsylvania rally. The shooter, named Thomas Matthew Crooks, fired multiple shots. One hit Trump on the ear. Ultimately, 43 seconds after the first shot, a Secret Service agent reported that Crooks was down. Now, as expected, the entire world was talking about the incident, either be it the brazen assassination attempt, the incompetence of Trump's security team, or non-US individuals being concerned about democracy in the United States. Regarding the US democracy, interestingly, US-based media outlets or even the US government and the officials are quick to talk about democratic backsliding in other countries, especially India. For instance, in 2023, when an Indian opposition leader Rahul Gandhi was convicted by a Surat court in a defamation case leading to his disqualification from the Indian Parliament, US was quick to comment. US State Department's main deputy spokesperson Vedant Patel in a presser stated that they are watching Mr. Gandhi's case in Indian courts.
Respect for the rule of law and judicial independence is a cornerstone of any democracy, and we're watching Mr. Gandhi's case in Indian courts, and we engage with the government of India on our shared commitment to democratic values, including, of course, freedom of expression. In our engagements with our Indian partners, we continue to highlight the importance of democratic principles and the protection of human rights, including freedom of expression, as a key to strengthening both our democracies.
Speaking in the cliché diplomatic way while throwing in sophisticated words such as rule of law, judicial independence and democratic values, the US government official clearly crossed a line which obviously was not taken kindly by Indian netizens back then. And not just a US government official. What about the media outlets? For instance, last year when PM Modi embarked on a state visit to the United States, here's what New York Times, one of the biggest media outlets of the country, wrote about it. In hosting Modi, Biden pushes democracy concerns to the background. Just read the subheading. For NYT writers, PM Modi is an important but an imperfect friend. And the Time magazine went a step further as it wrote, India's worsening democracy makes it an unreliable ally. What about the US intellectuals and journalists who question Indian democracy by citing discredited reports by think tanks that are directly or indirectly funded by US-based individuals and organizations, some of whom are directly or indirectly involved with the regime change agents? Protection of democracy and exporting it to the rest of the world is a major foreign policy goal of the US, about which frankly it has been boasting about for decades. But why has it failed to stop the chaos in its own backyard? A former president, and more importantly, the main rival of incumbent President Joe Biden, which is a Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, gets shot at a political rally, which by all means seems to be a planned assassination. And it came at a time when the tide is against Biden in upcoming polls. A whole ecosystem involving Democrats, media, editors, and intellectuals have been up against Trump for the last several years. They don't let an opportunity go by without repeating their rant that a democracy in the USA is at risk of being wiped out because of Donald Trump, or how he is the biggest threat to the democracy in the USA. Something which has been used against Prime Minister Narendra Modi too. Question is, why is it difficult for these people to understand that such propaganda has consequences? Ideally, in any other country following the rule of law, this incident would have been termed as an attempt to silence the voice of dissent. But since it's a liberal government ruling, the headlines are watered down. No online petitions and no protests by free speech advocates. As a media person or just an individual witnessing all these events transpire, I can only be optimistic for the democracy of the United States.